belief in our business and the passion that prevails in India for cinemas and would continue to fuel our growth as and when the situation normalizes. We know that the journey from here on would be tough for a limited period of time, but we also know that it will bring along many new learnings and would shape us to emerge as a stronger and a more resilient organization, sharply focused on profitability from successful innovation. I want to take this opportunity to tell you that our teams feel the same energy they felt 1 year back, and every single person is ready to go and put the best foot forward for the organization. As evident from the numbers, Q4 delivered a lot of hope and proved us right in many ways. Fresh and new content has always been crucial to our business, and Q4 underlined this belief. There were some phenomenal turnouts, and I can name almost a dozen movies which brought in crowds. More importantly, the guest behavior in the new normal gave us a lot of confidence as they came to terms with the new SOPs smoothly and comfortably. Let me take you through the presentation, and the key highlights are as follows. Post-lockdown, once we opened up somewhere around 15th of October last year, INOX has received 3.8 million resilient footfalls. Even during these tough times, we have added 17 screens, which is between October 2020 and March 2021. As of 31st March 2021, INOX is the national chain with the lowest net debt to equity ratio of 0.02x. I would also like to highlight that we have a strong liquidity position and which going forward in this presentation, I will discuss in detail. Also during this pandemic, we formulated and implemented the best-in-class COVID-19 SOPs. Let us look at some of the financial highlights of Q4 FY21 and for the full year FY21. As you all know, cinemas were permitted to open from mid-October 2020 onwards in a staggered way. Additionally, there weren't any consistent and notable movie releases, as a result of which our financial and operating performance were impacted. For Q4 FY21, the revenue was only 119 crores as compared to 317 crores in Q4 FY20. EBITDA was at a negative 60 crore rupees as compared to a positive 40 crores in Q4 FY20. PAT is at minus 74 crores as compared to minus 2 crores in Q4 FY20. For full year FY21, revenue was only 148 crores as compared to 1,915 crores in FY20. EBITDA is at minus 204 crores as compared to a plus 347 crores in FY20. For FY21, our PAT is at minus 257 crores as compared to a positive 141 crores in FY20. Performance in our key operational metrics were as follows. In Q4 FY21, the footfall is only 34 lakhs as compared to 128 lakhs in Q4 FY20. Occupancy is at 10% as compared to 24% in the same quarter last year. ATP is at rupees 172 compared to 202 for Q4 FY20. SPH has remained the same at rupees 78 on a year-on-year basis. For a full year FY21, footfalls is only 38 lakhs as compared to 660 lakhs in FY20. Occupancy was at 8% as compared to 28% in FY20. ATP, we closed this year at 170 rupees as compared to 200 in FY20. And SPH is at 77 compared to 80 rupees last year. As there was an impact on revenues during Q4 FY21 due to staggered permission provided by states for 100% capacity utilization and the absence of any notable and consistent movie releases, we have tried our level best to keep our fixed costs under control. We can see that from the numbers. On a year-to-year basis, our employee benefit expense, including agency manpower, has gone down from 67.5 crore rupees to 37 crore rupees in this quarter. Power and fuel and R&M expenses have decreased from 32.3 crore rupees in Q4 FY20 to 24.1 crores in this quarter. our expense towards rent and CAM during Q4 FY20 was 82.7 crores, and in this quarter we have incurred 67.2 crores. We have also reduced our other overheads in this quarter from 35.6 crores in Q4 FY20 to 20.5 crores in this quarter. In terms of shareholding structure, as on 23rd of April 2021, FIIs owned about 15.86 of the company, the DIIs own 20%, promoter and promoter group hold 47.38%, and public and others 16.76%. The share price as on 23rd of April 2021 was about 270 rupees 50 paisa, which gives the company a market capitalization of roughly 3,047 crores. In FY21, we opened 5 properties with 17 screens and 2,335 seats. In FY22, we have already opened a property in Bangalore with 5 screens. Additionally, we are confident of opening 5 more properties with 19 screens, wherein 90% of the work has already been completed. There are another 25 screens, the opening of which will depend on the circumstances getting normal. At present, we are operational in 18 states and 1 union territory, present in 69 cities, with 153 properties and 648 screens. There has also been a lot of conversation around the availability of fresh content. And if I talk about the movies released in Q4 FY21, we had Crack, Master, Upena, Togaru, Ruhi, Mumbai Saga, Godzilla vs. Kong, and they all did very well. Post-normalcy from the second wave, multiplexes do have a healthy lineup of movies, whether it's in Hindi, English, or other Indian languages. Due to the second wave of COVID-19, there were several states which have shut down cinemas. Current status of INOX multiplexes are as follows. Due to the state orders where INOX has to shut down, that constitutes 97 properties and 424 screens. Due to the non-availability of content, we on our own have shut down 33 properties and 116 screens. And currently, as we speak, we are operating only in 23 properties with 108 screens. The second wave of COVID-19 has severely affected the multiplex. As a result, we have approached the landlords to renegotiate the rent and CAM. Another important set of stakeholders for us are the content partners, and we have been in constant dialogue with them. Due to the second wave, producers and distributors have deferred the releases scheduled in Q1 FY22, and the majority of producers and distributors are in favor of releasing their movies only on the big screen and therefore would postpone their releases until normalcy. As for our capex is concerned, we have 19 screens, which I just talked about, where 90% of the work has been completed, and hence that would require an additional capex of 8 to 10 crore rupees, and the remaining 25 screens would be opened once things normalize. I would also like to reiterate that the liquidity position is very strong. As on 25th of April 2021, we have liquidity of more than 130 crores, which includes undrawn limits of 87 crores. Additionally, INOX has passed an enabling resolution to raise up to 300 crore rupees. Alternatively, INOX owns 6 cinema properties and a head office, and as for the current market valuation, if required, we can raise 350 crores by doing a sale and lease back of these properties, and that is only if required. As on 25th April 2021, our gross debt was 103 crores and net debt only 55 crores. Well, friends, that is a brief about the year which has gone by, and now I would like to just open this forum for a question and answer session.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Avinash Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. My first question is the screens where you have closed on your own because content is not available, but the state is allowing it. In that scenario, what happens to the rentals? Does it still get waived off because it is a voluntary closure, not a closure by the government?
Okay, to answer that question, I would say that no, we have written to the landlords and we have told them that there's hardly anybody coming in. There is no content to show, and hence it will be prudent for us to shut down the properties, and we will not be able to pay rent during those times. And let me tell you, Abneesh, that in lots of places we have got a positive answer. And even though the state has not allowed it, but we have shut it down because of no content at all. So we've got a positive response from our landlords.
And follow on to this, the screens which are still open, what is the content you are showing? Which states are they?
Well, if I am right, it's Bengal which is showing today, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and there are one or two more states. Goa as of now, but Goa I've heard we shut down from 6 o'clock this evening. So these are about 4 or 5 states where we are operational. In one or two states, there's still 100% capacity allowed, but in a few, it's only 50%. And the content we are showing is some new Hindi movie, which is from the past week, or a few English movies which have been released in this week itself. So there is content, Abneesh, but yes, it is nothing where we will have hordes of people coming in because mainly of the fear psychosis, but not because of the quality of content.
Right. And second question was on the real estate which you own, 350 crores. You said only if required we'll do this. You do have an enabling resolution for another fundraise. So what is the thought process because of wave 2? Could you again refocus a bit more on the sale and lease back, or it is something which can be done only in an even more extreme situation because your liquidity is fine and debt equity is very hardly anything?
No, that Abneesh would be seeing. We've been talking about it in every investor presentation where we say that if required, we also have that cushion in our balance sheet. So that's a statement we make every time. It's in every presentation of ours. But on the other hand, the board has allowed us or given us, has approved an enabling resolution for us to raise 300 crores.
And last question, we are hearing joint release of movies now in this current dynamic situation wherein it will release on theaters also and it will release on OTT and maybe some other media also. So any comment on that? Do you think this is just a stopgap arrangement? And a related question is Hindi movie release was quite delayed when things were going fine versus the regional. Now again when say wave 2 comes down say in the next few months, do you see this time Hindi movie releases picking up faster because the overseas markets COVID cases are dying down? So that was a key reason why Hindi movies are not releasing. So any thoughts on that?
Well, you're right. I think that could be, if I answer the second question first, is that you're right. Earlier, Hindi movies were not released quickly. We had English movies or movies in other Indian languages being released very quickly, and every weekend there were at least 4 or 5 big movies being released. With international markets opening up, Hindi producers could release their movies, but at the same time, when the okay is given by the state governments to open up our screens, still I think because Hindi is spoken all over India, they are national releases, they will require 3 to 4 weeks of marketing campaigns before they actually come out with the film. So instead of, let's say, 8 or 9 weeks being taken earlier, it could be 4 or 5 weeks now. International is already opening up, so they will not have any issue over there. When you talked about some movies releasing on other platforms also, well, we still believe in the age-old, world-over practiced theatrical window, and we feel that a movie should first come on theaters, and then after a lag of a few weeks, it should come on any other platform. And we still stand by that, Anish, because that helps everyone in the value chain, because as per the performance of the movie, it can garner the amount which the producer wants on any OTT platform or through any other channel. So we believe that the theatrical window should be followed, And number two, movies could come out in the 4 to 5 weeks after the lockdown was lifted by various state governments.
Oh, okay, sir. That's all from me. Thanks a lot and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Joshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. I just needed one clarification. Our revenue includes the sum of 24 crores pertaining to an old claim which got settled. So can you highlight what this is about? And secondly, if I look at our film distributor share, I mean, that was at 47% in this quarter, and typically this figure used to be in the region of 44 to 45%. So is there any change here which you would like to highlight?
Well, talking about what you see as 23.75 crores, yes, that was a claim of ours which we've got recently. So that's now reflected in the books. And where you are talking about the film distributor share going up, well, let me tell you that we encouraged as a one-time gesture towards the producers and the distributors. We increased the revenue share by a few percentage points. So that is one reason why you see a higher distributor share. And number two, what also happened was that the movies ran for a very short period of time. So week on week, the higher distributor share was kicking in. So that's the reason why you see a higher distributor share in Q4 FY20 and a marginally higher one across the entire financial year. So those are the reasons for that.
Yes, sir, but the claim, I wanted to know what was that pertaining to. I have the figure, which is 24 crores, which is stated in the presentation. What was it pertaining to?
This is one of the,
go ahead, Kailash.
Yeah, so this is one of the insurance claims pertaining to FY20, which is settled now. So this was in dispute, for almost a year. So which is now settled by the insurance company.
Okay, sir. And so secondly, one last question. We have also stated in our press release that we have chalked out some plans with online food aggregators. So can you mention, I mean, with which all aggregators you have the tie-up currently, and what kind of revenue potential does these tie-ups can have?
Well, we have signed up with Zomato and Swiggy, where we sell our cinema food on those platforms, and we've got a good uptake as of now. And that's, when I say as of now, means before the cinemas are shut down. So, and this is just the beginning. We are very hopeful that over the period of time, all this will increase, and there'll be a separate stream of food and beverage revenues by going out to people's house and delivering it over there through these aggregators. So that's another stream we have looked at. We have looked at a different menu. We have looked at different packaging so that it's easy to dispense and it can reach a customer within 20 to 25 minutes.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Kapoor from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Just had two questions. My first question was on the operating cost. So if you look at your operating cost structure, you've done about 150 crores of operating cost in quarter four, around 95 odd crores in quarter three, and about 35 to 40 crores in quarter two. As things started to open up, obviously your operating cost structure started to normalize. Now, as we look at the next quarter or two, for the next 6 months, where there probably will be certain challenges, where do you believe this operating cost structure will kind of land up? Will it be closer to your fourth quarter levels where screens are open, or will it be closer to maybe third quarter where they were just about opening up because you're somewhere in the middle there? How do you see that kind of panning out? If you could just help us understand a little bit.
So it's difficult to predict the cost right now because this is the one area which is the rent and care. Actually, this is right now open area for us, and it's very difficult to predict right now because the closing or shutdown is happening in a phased manner. That is one. Second is a lot of negotiation has happened in the last financial year, and this is we are trying to replicate the same. So while we are not sure as of now, what would be the yearly outflow. But you need to assume at least the cost structure will be the similar or on the line of the Q4 only. I mean, it is not going to go back to the Q1 and Q2 of last year.
In fact, just on this, if you could help us understand what is, qualitatively the 400 odd screens that have been shut down by authorities and the 100 odd that you've shut down. What's the response from malls, landlords who you are discussing with? Are they more understanding on your cause, or given that they have given a 1 year leeway, are those conversations much more difficult now?
Well, I don't think they are difficult because they know that what the situation across the country is, because even the malls are shut. And as I said, that in places we voluntarily shut down, it's a matter of time, we feel, and everybody knows that those states also could ensure or have a closure coming in sooner than later. But wherever we have voluntarily shut down, the developers and the mall owners have understood our pain. They know that there is nobody coming in. One, because there's no movie, and number two, there's a fear psychosis. And they also see the same footfalls. They see the footfalls dwindling in their malls also. So, as I earlier said, that our developer friends have been very, very supportive. And they also say that no point of opening a place when nobody is coming in to watch a movie.
Got it. My second question was on your discussions with the producers. What's the stance that the multiplex industry is planning to take for films like the recent one announced, where there is going to be a simultaneous release? Is there a harsher stance being taken on those, or it's just how are you viewing that? I know your thoughts that in the medium term or even in the near term, once things open up, you expect everything to release in the theaters. But in the interim, that films are planning, some 1 or 2 films might plan a simultaneous release. How does the cinema or multiplex, you guys or the larger 2 or 3 players look at it?
So I can't comment on others, Harit. I don't know what's happening to the entire industry and how will they look at it. But I know for sure, as I earlier said, that we want to respect that window of 8 weeks between a movie after it hits the screen and it comes on an OTT platform. And we will stick to that. We talk to the various producers and distributors who are agreeing for a simultaneous release. But that's their choice. It's their product and they can do whatever they want. But as I earlier said, that we will respect that 8-week window or whatever it is decided between us and the producer or the distributor, and not have a day-date release in INOX theaters.
Got it. One last question, if I may, was that given you've already spoken about the 19 odd screens that are almost 90% completed, is the assumption that the balance screens that you're planning for the year, which are about 30 odd, those you could probably defer indefinitely from now and probably take it up, spend that money only when you really see things kind of picking up? Is that a safe assumption?
Yes, that's a safe assumption, and that's exactly what I said, that 19 will open for sure because 90% of the work is over. For remaining 25, we'll wait and watch, and once things improve, we will start putting in monies over there, and then we'll open them up. But it's only deferred. So that's something which I wanted to say, that our expansion plans have only been deferred and they have not been cancelled as such. We are very optimistic about this entire industry. We are very bullish about the Indian film industry, and we are very bullish that we will grow. And just to tell you, just to add to your question, post FY22, we have another nearly 950 screens which are signed. So we will be in this game for a long period of time, and it's a matter of time before things improve, and then we'll be back to our normal expansion spree which we have been having till now.
Good to hear, Alok. Wish you all the best and hope the INOX family as yourself, as well as yourself, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
So one clarification, do we have any more treasury shares left, or we have exhausted by encashing it last year?
Treasury shares are over. We don't have any left.
Okay. And my second question is, on the operations last year, what would have been the cash burn? Is it closer to 200 crores that I can understand from the presentation, the cash flow, pure operational cash burn without the capex?
220 crore.
220.
Yeah, this includes, so effectively 204 crore is the EBITDA and it is on around 16 crore has been paid as a finance cost. So I'm talking about operationally 220.
Yeah, operational. And on that 220, we incurred another 50-60 crore of capex.
Around 50 crore rupees.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, from your initial comments, you mentioned that 20 screens is what you will open this year because only some amount of 8-10 crore of capex is left there, right? That's how it is.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely right.
So that takes you from 648 to about 670 odd, roughly 670 odd screens.
Yes.
Okay. And the balance 20-30 screens which you are planning, they all need capex, right? There's no money which has been spent there.
Very, very little, which we can't even talk about. It's minuscule. But we will only put in remaining capex once things improve.
And what is the capex per screen now? At which?
Varies from where we are. So anything between 2 crores per screen to 2.5 crores per screen. And if it's a high-end property, it goes up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question from the line of Sanjesh Jain from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Couple of questions. First on the screens during a very small period, we opened the complete screen. Need to understand.
Sorry, could you be a bit louder, please? I just can't hear you at all.
Okay. Is it good now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to understand what was the percentage of total screen on the industry level which opened between, say, January to March, and how much of it was multiplexes and how much of it was single screens? You can throw some light on that.
Difficult to say because there's no count, and whatever we have seen, and again, don't hold me to it, but out of about 8,700 screens nationally, about 6,000 would have opened. That's again my guess. It's not. I'm not sure about it because there's no data which talks about it in totality. And overall, I would say where multiplexes are concerned, out of 3,000 multiplexes, I think about 2,300 to 2,400 screens would have opened. But again, that's my assumption.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because you keep speaking to distributors who have released the movies, right? They will have an idea on how many screens they will have put up the movies. So, do you think we will go back to the 9,500 odd screens we had pre-COVID? Or it's a fair assumption to assume that when we will start, we will get 7,500 to 8,000 screen, and from there on again industry will build. And this time, the majority of screens will be owned by multiplexes over next 5 years. Will that be a fair assumption?
Well, unfortunately, yes, some cinemas will shut down. We will not have 9,000 or 9,500 screens opening because some will shut down for sure. And my guess is about 9 to 10% screens may not open. But again, I'm saying I'm nobody to talk about it. It's just what I sense around me and what I gather around me, I'm saying. Going forward, yes, it will only be multiplexes which will open because they make a lot of financial sense. There's ease of programming. So example, if one movie does not do well, there are other movies to take care of that entire property. If you have a multiplex, you have at least 10 to 12 movies releasing every Friday. So that's another advantage you get. You get advantage of having staggered show timing. So one has a new picture starting after every 15 to 20 minutes. So what I think that leave alone a few key markets. Rest, whatever screens will open will be multiplex screens.
Got it. Now, this from the supply perspective, from the demand perspective, because single screens, the average ticket price will much lower, whereas multiplexes will be much higher. Is there any way where we can have that footfall as well? To clearing structure, we do different pricing for the daytime and the evening times, but any other thing which you think may be required to tweak in terms of the way you are running this business earlier, pre-COVID, to a new reality?
Could you just repeat that question, please? And could you be a bit louder? What I heard was, I only heard about you talking about the ticket price. The ticket price is more in multiplexes compared to single screen. If you could just repeat that question.
So basically, so on the demand side, as in from the footfall perspective, now that there are lots of footfall which may be available for multiplexes going forward because single screens will be lower in numbers, do we plan to have a newer tiering structure in terms of pricing, or have you tried anything during this small opening that happened to attract more footfall?
Okay, if I hear your question right, and I hope I'm able to answer it correct, we tried with pricing, and what we saw is that for a new picture, we were able to command ticket prices as we were charging pre-COVID days. But for library content, naturally we lowered our prices, but still there were no footfalls which came in to watch a library content. So it's not that we have not tried with different pricing, and we at Inox always keep on changing the prices depending on the cost structure of the property, the paying propensity of the people, and which type of movie it is. So the price experiments which we have done during this period from October 2020 till now is not new to us. We've been doing so on a regular basis, and we've seen that we have never overcharged where our customers are concerned. It depends on the time of the day of the week, and that's how we do our pricing.
No, let me rephrase it. So my question was more on the new movies and not on the library movies. If you could say to increase the footfall in the daytime or in the morning shows and in the new movies, and now that we have a larger audience, say the average paying customer has come down in terms of the average income level that we want to cater. Have you tried with any new pricing strategy, say in the daytime or a morning time?
Wait, Parag, please, we would request you to please come off speaker.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, but let me tell you whatever I heard. We have tried with different strategies, pricing strategies, not now. And I answered that question earlier. We've always been doing it. So we have got different pricing strategy during the early day, the weekdays, the evening shows on weekdays, the morning shows on weekends, and evening shows on weekends. So we have had always different pricing strategies for a time of the day and day of the week. So that's not new to us. And this time also we did the same. We didn't change our strategy at all. And as I said, we were able to command our pre-COVID rates for new movies. So that did not change at all. And we always find that sweet spot between a ticket price and footfall, because there's no point of having more footfalls at a less average ticket price or a higher ticket price and having anybody coming in. So we always find that sweet spot between a ticket price and footfalls, and we always do that. And this time also we did it from 15th October till 31st of March.
Thank you. Sanjay, we would request you to please come back in the question queue for any follow-up questions, as we have several participants waiting for their turn. Also, we would request the participants to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. The next question is from the line of Nihar Shah from Newmark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My questions have just been answered. I just wanted to make a comment. It seems, and maybe just get your views over here a little bit. Seems that, some of the things that is going on with the producers, one, you mentioned that the exclusive window for theaters seems to be narrowing down from about 8-9 weeks to 4-5 weeks. The revenue share, it might be temporary, is sort of also gone up a little bit this quarter. And the fact that, the stance this time on simultaneous release on digital and theatrical versus what it was last year, where you categorically stated that anything that releases on digital will not be released in your theaters, seems to be sort of softening. Are you seeing, this pandemic change your bargaining power with the producers, or is this something that you think is just temporary in nature? It's just an open-ended comment, up to you guys to sort of answer it.
So, no, I'll surely talk about it. Nihar, it's not that our stand is softening. You're right that the revenue share increased slightly, but that was to encourage people who would not release their movies for 10 to 11 months, just to come out, release it, and a few percent percentage points up or down does not mean that Inox has softened its stand. So that's number one. Number two, we stick with that theatrical window. And again, when it's come down for a few movies, it is just to help the industry so that people release their movies and after then about 4 or 5 weeks, they go to an OTT. So again, where Inox is concerned, I don't think that's softening a stand. That's only helping the industry to stand on its feet. And we are a part of the industry. So whether it's a producer, distributor, or we as exhibitors, everybody has to help each other. And that's what exactly everybody has been doing in the last 10 to 11 months. And when you talked about simultaneous release, yes, it's happened for this movie. I don't know whether this will happen in future or not, but I'm very sure that all these things are happening because cinemas are not opening. It's not because cinemas cannot pull in crowd. It is because the state governments have told us not to open, and a person who's invested hundreds of crores in this product naturally would like to monetize that. So where Inox is concerned, I wouldn't say it's softening a stance. I'll just say that it's helping everybody. As producers helped us by releasing the movies on the screen, we helped them by increasing their distributor share by a few percentage points. So it's like people who worked together earlier are doing it just to ensure that every vertical of the film industry stands and bounces back when things get normal.
Got it. No, that's fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arun Prasad from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So my first question is on basically we saw that last QIP the promoter stake went below 50%. Now we have one more fundraise. The question is basically till what level of dilution that promoters are comfortable with? I mean, are promoters comfortable with say less than 40% stake, or they would like to keep up at the present level?
Arun, I don't think either Kailash or I are qualified to answer that question. That only the promoters can. But they came down to 47.38 after the last QIP. So it means that they must be comfortable with that. But to what level they can go down, I'm sorry, I will not be able to answer, neither can Kailash.
I think this is more the situation based on the situation. Actually, whatever situation it was, based on that only the action will trigger. As of now, it's difficult to predict, the what level and what is the point of.
Fair enough. The second question I have is that just your view, of course not going to hold your view, but just want to understand how the weaker unlisted national chains are managing, especially with some huge balance sheet stress they already had even during the pre-COVID levels. Any opinion on how they are sustaining, or have they?
Nothing at all. Again, we can't talk on their balance sheet. We can't talk on their.
No, I'm not asking about their balance sheets.
But I know it must be tough for them. I empathize with them. It must be really tough to run a chain if you are the way it is. We have got one of the strongest balance sheets, and still we have pressures. So I get to think what they would be going through.
So my question is slightly different. I am asking, have you have got any indication from the developers that they have vacated some of the properties? Are they open for release, or probably something like that? Anything you have heard about it like that?
Nothing as of now.
Okay. And my final question is there any disputes still open with the developers on rent payment or non-payment during FY21, especially with some stronger developers you have?
No, FY21 is totally closed. There is no dispute at all.
So you will be opening fresh with FY22 without any disputes.
Correct.
Yes, but so there's no dispute. And again, as we are shut in April 2021, that's which is FY22, we have again written to the developers that we'll have issues paying you rents till the time we are shut. And as I said, some of them have been very, very helpful, and we are yet to hear from others.
Thank you, sir. One bookkeeping question. What is the reason for other expenses to double with QOQ? 16 crores shooting up to 32 crores. Any one-off or anything like that in that?
You are talking. Okay, so
Well, that could be various rates and taxes, CSR. There could be hordes of other things. That's why it went up. The other overheads went up. So nothing else.
No one of
Nothing
them.
in particular. No, any one of them.
Okay. And the operation level has also kicked in now for last 3 months. So a lot of the ancillary expenses starts incurring on the business side.
So this will sustain. This other expense will sustain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there are two components, majorly two components. One is the CSR contribution, which was quite a big number, and the second part is the taxation. What happens, in our case, you need to understand one thing, that the food is not subject to any input credit. So you have to also pro rata disallow all the expense proportionately, and that amount comes and sits in the other overhead. And that amount was doubled than what it was in the previous quarter specifically. Previous quarter, I would say. That itself was around 5 crore number.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Pai from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I just had a few questions. Prior to the second wave, there had been a slotting of a lot of the movies, actually the Hindi movies, through the rest of 2021. Now with pandemic, surging back, how do you think you can slot, once it opens up again, how do you think you can slot a Suryavanshi or an 83 or some of the other movies that were kind of slotted earlier? Do you think you will find enough slots?
Oh, absolutely. There will be no issue at all. I know that we are quite excited about the upcoming release. If I'm not mistaken, there are about 24 movies in Hindi which are ready, about 19 in English, and about 23, 24 in other Indian languages. So it'll be exciting Fridays for us, and more than merrier. So it'll be easy to slot. I don't think there will be a challenge. And also, Girish, what's happening is that people are just itching to come out and watch a good movie, which they have not seen in the last couple of months. So it'll be, I would say, fun on Fridays for us, and also for the programming team especially. And it won't be a challenge at all. It'll be a good challenge to have. It'll be a nice, exciting challenge to have.
The second question is on advertising. What are the kind of conversations you're having with on the advertiser side, and what are they telling you in terms of when they could go back to spending the same amount on advertising on the film exhibition side?
Well, they are waiting for footfalls to come in, and so it's anybody's guess. Once we have people coming in, when we have new movies releasing, great footfalls, then the advertisers will come. It's not that they will not advertise in this medium. Cinema is still important to them, for the people who are advertising in that medium. But yes, like any other businessman, they are waiting for footfalls. So that only will happen once the new movies come in. And one or two blockbusters, and people will be back to advertise in cinema theaters.
Last question is on management properties. Is the commercial, how does it represent in the P&L for these? I think there are like few management properties that you have.
Yeah. So the footfall of the revenues do not come into our books. It's only the fee which we take that's reflected. Otherwise, neither the footfall nor the top line or their expenses. Nothing comes in our books.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from IDBI Capital Markets and Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to you and your team. So my first question was a bit of a follow-up on capital deployment. In hindsight, having a strong balance sheet and also quantum of equity fundraise which you did was quite appropriate. This time, just wanted to understand, in case of a need for raising more capital, what would be the priorities as regards equity or monetization of properties and as well as raising debt?
Well, still to decide, Urmil, again your voice cracks. So, for example, sale and lease back of the properties as of now is just totally out of question. Raising debt, we'll see if the time is right, because we have hardly any debt in our books. And how to raise funds, what to do, I think we still have to decide on that. We've just taken an enabling resolution for 300 crores. That's the only thing we have done. But it's a matter of time, or it'll take us some more time to decide which route to follow to raise more capital.
Sure. And as you know, once things stabilize as regards vaccination and then the reopening, how should we look at the costs to move up? Earlier you have said that maybe about 10 to 15% of the fixed cost might structurally decline if we compare a normal year. So does that continue, or any change in the same?
No, that continues. We will, if and when, not if and when, but as soon as things normalize, we will go to a cost structure which is much more leaner than pre-COVID days. And yes, you will see that reduction of 10 to 15%, which you only mentioned as we discussed in the last call.
Sure. Thank you so much, and all that.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rikin Gopani from Capri Global Advisory Services. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunities. I have two questions. Firstly, on the capital raise quantum that you have taken a resolution for, is this going to be something, only keeping in mind a potential cash burn, or is there any bunched up capex also that this particular capital amount is determined based on, or any acquisition which you keep in mind while deciding upon this 300 crore amount?
This 300 crore amount is based on the current year, basically burn rate. So we have assumed so in a worst case scenario, I'm saying that we have assumed around 300 crore rupee cash burn. In the current financial year, the last financial year, we burned around 220 crore and around 45 crore on capex. If in a worst case scenario, maybe the 300 crore is the cash burn for the FY22. Assuming if we don't function for the full year, but at the same time, we are confident that in H2, basically the H2 onwards, we should be in a business back to the normalcy. And if that happens, then probably this balance money will be utilized towards the capex basically.
Okay, understood. So basically, you're saying that if we are to see a sort of unfortunate situation of a full year shutdown, we'll have a monthly cash burn of 25-30 crores. Is that what we should?
Correct.
Understood.
For the full year average, not
Sure.
the initial 1 or 2 months.
Okay, so basically it may take some time to get approvals for rent waivers in the initial 1 or 2 months, is what you're basically envisaging. Is that correct?
Of course. So because it's a negotiation. So negotiation right now, I'm not in a position to predict, how long this pandemic would be. So you can't decide everything on a day one.
Right. And just one last point, in terms of whenever the opening up happens, given that quite a few of the screens would have been shut for almost like the last 1 year and some more time to go ahead, will there be any bunched up capex for the existing properties that would be required before opening up?
So you have to take the same last year example where the couple of properties were shut for almost a 10 month or 11 month. Barring one property, we could open all the properties before 31st March, just to tell you in advance. So effectively all those, when we opened up, of course, overhauling or some kind of repair maintenance and all those things has happened. And the similar things will happen probably when we reopen. If it is a shorter, the lockdown, the expense will be lower. But if it is a longer shutdown of 6 months plus, then of course these requires more maintenance, not capex, I would say.
Yeah.
That would be there.
And also a lot of learnings from the last shutdown, where how do you prevent batteries from draining out? How do you ensure that your things don't go bad? So all those learnings have been incorporated now. So the expense, as Kailash said, will be much, much lower than what it was after that major shutdown of about 7 to 8 months.
Okay. But the absolute amount here would not be something meaningful, right? Is what we should be, I mean, not more than 20-30 crores, or could that be, what could be the range like, if you were to understand?
No, very difficult to predict right now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That
Okay.
it will all depend whether it's a 2-month shutdown or it's a 6-month shutdown or it's a 9-month shutdown. Nobody has an answer right now.
Okay, understood. Sure.
But of
Thank
course,
you.
the amount is not going to be very substantial.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much for your answers.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayank Babla from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. So I had a very broad strategy question. Like, for example, as far as COVID is concerned, we are not, as you said yourself, we are not aware of how long the shutdown will happen or the nature of this virus or whether it will resurface or not. So I wanted to ask you that we have a very good brand value in the movie exhibition business. We have a good network. Have we ever considered any alternative business strategy like entering into the OTT space, how HBO has done with HBO Max or something like that?
No, I think our core competency is to show movies, movies on a giant screen with crystal clear projection and undistorted sound, and we will continue doing that. And we just focus on exhibition of movies on a large screen to ensure a great experience for everyone.
Sure, that was my only question. Thank you so much. Be safe.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhisar Jain from Monarch AIF. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, just coming back to the question about capital allocation and fundraise, sir, I just wanted to understand management view on the strong balance sheet that we have been carrying. And don't you think, sir, that this is the time wherein we can, take advantage of that strong balance sheet and at least wait for a quarter or so more, have a little bit of a debt on the books, and then take, as the situation demands, that whether we should go for further dilution? Because I feel, sir, that doing a dilution in a very quick time, right away, may make us a little comfortable on liquidity, but would also, delay our ROE recovery whenever the footfalls and the business returns. So please, give me your views on this. Will be very helpful.
Well, as we said, it's too early for us to decide. It's only the enabling resolution we have got, and the board will decide that what we have to do and how we have to do it. So I think we've already said that it's too early for us to decide that which route are we taking to raise with 300 crores.
Sure. So, sir, if I were to understand correctly, it may so happen that we may not do any dilution right away. Though we have taken a resolution, but we have not taken the call that we are going to do it for sure, right?
Yes. So that will be decided by the board, and we are looking at various pros and cons, various options we are looking at, and we should be deciding that whenever the right time is there, that which route we have to take.
Sure, sir. Understood. Thank you. And sir, just last, bit of, maybe a suggestion. You must be taking a lot of feedback on this from the investors at large. But sir, in my humble opinion, I would suggest that we can maybe delay this decision a bit and do with a little bit of a debt on the books.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. That's all from my side, operator.
That was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Girish Pai.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining this call, and special thanks to the Inox management for giving us this opportunity to host this call. Wishing you all a good day.
And thank you for taking interest in Inox in our company. And the only thing I can say these days is please stay safe and stay at home. Take care of your families, and I wish all of you great health. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. On behalf of Nirmal Bang Equities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.